I mean, the zone might have been in their favor. The map is literally in their favor. This is something that could have completely gone their way, but no one was about to let that happen. Exit, the guard, also phenomenal positioning up here. They were able to capitalize on EXO pushing out a little bit earlier than them, trying to wrap around that rock, but as soon as they started taking those shots, they knew they drew too much attention onto themselves, and that's when they started taking damage in return. They go down, opening up the door for Exit to continue their push, but it is E6. E6 wanted it more.
They really did, and you can maybe say that Keon bit off a little more than they could chew. That attention ended up dropping him early, and then they had to play as two as the guard and not a full team dropping. But it ultimately led to Element 6 making the move. You couldn't take it away from them. Nags, we had an interview with him. You talked to him just a little bit ago. And, you know, I also think that when you look at players who are in that controller zone, you look at Amphi and you look at comparatively Zane who had performed, you've got to put them in the category of top performers here, even though we don't talk about them all enough. Element 6, 21 points here, 9 kills. That is massive. And of course, Exet dropping in with 16. Will that be enough to push them on to match point? We'll find out in a moment as we head over to our page 2. It was Fnatic leading the charge there. NRG, not a great game, but they get those 5. I think that's a strong move. We already know they have a chance to win, so they're not looking for any more points. SA, Singularity, not doing it. Esports Arena as well, not doing it. But let's react to our series results and see if anyone else has joined match point. They have. It is Exit now, one of our 4 teams who, if they win, can take home the title.
Which is scary because it's just another heavy hitter. 2 more teams below them on 49, so right at that match point eligible spot as well. But we talked about this before we started Storm Point. We knew NRG and TSM might struggle on this map a little bit. They both had a really rough game, and it's going to continue opening up the doors for those other teams if they happen to do that again.
And Gino?
And at 49 points, right? Every single kill is mattering. And in the early game, you're seeing that it's easy to get kills in that the teams rotating in are just getting obliterated by everyone who's found their spot in the zone. But they are hotly contested between those teams who have already made it in there.
It is a little bit scary if you are more of an aggressive style team. You're seeing these teams that are playing zone slower. You're seeing Ascend be in the mix. You're seeing, you know, Element 6, although that maybe not the same style as the guard who we expect to be in that zone, who may be a bit quiet today so far. I think now as the time goes on, the game starts to shift. It becomes a little bit more of a chess match versus a boxing match. And we're not doing chess boxing here. I mean, that's a fun idea for the ALGS, but not this time around. We don't have enough time or budget for that. I do want to let you know, though, Tiff, you kind of had talked to us about that final circle, breaking that down. We have that on display. Let us know what you saw here in terms of how this whole fight played out.
Well, so unfortunately, I didn't really get to see it from Element 6's POV. We kind of checked in with the guard who's up on this rock, but the fact is they're able to swing behind. We mentioned it, EXO had rotated out from underneath the guard so early that was allowing them to get shot in the back, but they had to jump down. And the moment they kind of send it on them, Slayer's just swinging back and forth, the way they're just approaching this from different angles, like they just kind of swarmed, bro. It was like hunters like swarming their prey like lions.
I think one of the big factors in that fight was,
Yeah, there it is.
Was the fact that they didn't lose much health, right? So they won the fight, and it was, you know, they'd taken a fair bit of damage, but luckily the instant shield swaps just pretty much brought all of that back. So it was a very quick reset for Element 6 to kind of even things up there.
We are getting to a point where now there's almost too many teams that are on match point to try to single any one of them out. If that is a strategy, not all teams employ that, but some do try to say, hey, that's E6, or that's Ascend, that's TSM, take them out. We know, we're recognizing their legends. It's kind of too much now. I actually think we've hit that threshold. Any more teams, certainly. 2 teams are on 49 points. Several other teams are in the 40s, only 10 points away. Guess what? We are going to see if Game 8 ends it all, or if we go again. It's match point, baby. You got to love it. And to take us through it, it's Onset and Gaskin for the call.
We go again, everybody. We go again here in London. Match point. It's obviously what we're looking for now. So many teams starting to cross that 50-point threshold. We've got 4 there at the moment, Dan. The question is, will we end it right here, right now? Or maybe we'll just keep this thing rolling.
I have a feeling that we're going to end at World's Edge. We're still on Storm Point. We have 3 of our 4 teams on match point who I would consider World's Edge teams, right? Their percentage wins throughout regular season is not that great for Storm Point. Bar 1, TSM statistics are far superior than all of the other 3 teams when it comes to Storm Point victories. So if anyone's going to do it, I kind of have an inkling towards TSM, but there's just something about this lobby on set that makes me think we're going to keep going.
I get that feeling as well, but what a banger game it was from Xset in that previous game as well. A huge amount of points that pushed them over that threshold. But one of the teams, of course, who is on match point, we just saw them for a moment there, Ascend, the European powerhouse, forcing their way past 50 points. And now we have to find out if it's going to end here, if it's going to end now, or if we're going to keep this thing rolling. Copper Box here in London. Let's get this thing going as we head into our next match.
We want to see as much matches as possible. We want as much action on our screens as possible. But of course, we have 4 teams who want to end it here. They want to end it now. NRG, Ascend, Xset, TSM all have the opportunity to hoist that trophy above their heads at the end of today. And it could be very soon. However, if you do not complete it on this map, we suddenly move over to World's Edge, where of course it is going to be a very, very different game.
Well, let's see how this zone pulls. Let's see where we're going to be going, and let's see where the teams are going to be having to rotate to. You can see once again, no surprise to see teams comfortable on their drops. But I mean, I've got to just mention Alliance. How close were they in that previous game to securing that one extra point they needed, but they just fall short there.
Not just Alliance as well. Moist only 1 point away. Onyx only 3 points away. We have 4 or 5 teams who very much could be on match point after this game as well if we don't see one of our 4 win this game. So if you are one of those 4, you have to take this opportunity. But remember, this is Xset's first attempt at it. Everyone else has had at least 1 game to try and win it so far. As we see our circle information, we're going up to Stormcatcher, Thunderwatch area. Teams like Singularity, Onyx, EXO, they are in the perfect area.
Very, very likely to be a Thunderwatch end here. We have seen it finish right at the northern tip, and for Alliance, who only need 1 point, you would imagine, just with the fact that they're dropping at such a priority position over a Lightning Rod, with the height that they'll be able to have with a priority to the zone, surely they will be joining us on match point. 1 KP is all they need.
So what's going to be interesting here is NRG are going to have to rotate essentially through Xset or behind and shadow Xset, 2 of our match point teams. TSM, depending on which area they try and rotate through, if they go north, they will avoid those other 2, but they very easily could end up going south and matching Xset and NRG as well. We could have 3 of our match point teams all arriving through the command center chunk.
Have to wonder if there's going to be a choice of a slower rotate for either of those teams, or any 3 of those teams, as you say, to try and avoid those fights that go down, to try and stop being cut down at the pass. And one team to keep your eye on for sure is going to be Xset. They're already on their journey, but it looks like we've already got a little bit of a fight breaking out, and it's E6 on our screens.
E6 versus E36 keeps happening. It's the battle of the E's, and E6 obviously had that incredible game just previously, popping off as they did yesterday, and they just seem to come out of the woodworks when you least expect it, this squad.
Yeah, if you like the fuse on E6, all of a sudden, before you know it, they start to catch fire, and we saw in that previous game a lot of support here in London for Element 6 as well, and I've got to say, I'm a big K Swinney fan. I love the passion that he brings to his game. He absolutely went wild yesterday with that play, and you can also see how much it means to him. Every time he's leading his troops into a victory or into a big position when they put up points, the smile on his face is infectious.
Yeah, and doing it for the rest of EMEA, of course, our Element 6 as well as Ascend, who are performing very well at the moment. But you got to remember at the start of the tournament and even the start of today, E6 were memeing a little bit. We saw Revthane coming into the equation. They've been running all sorts of compositions based off what Twitch chat was saying at one point, but they are a realistic team that could be winning this event. They're only 7 points away from match point. No one is guaranteed to be winning this game here and now. There is still going to be chances for them.
TSM making their rotation. It's going to be the Skyward Dive into one of these sides of the building. You have to wonder if that team on the roof is going to be a problem. They should be able to drop inside without taking too much damage. And TSM complete their rotation. This is a huge moment in this lobby. Hitting that Valkyrie redeploy, getting up into the sky. Onyx are close, and we're trying to hold down as much space here in Stormcatcher as they possibly could. The problem is, with 3 people dropping out of the sky from TSM, they had to give that side up, which means that TSM now have somewhere to play from.
Yeah, Thunderwatch is becoming very busy indeed, and Alliance are going to be sitting at the very tip of the top of the mountain to be able to watch down on all the peasants that arrive late. But what's good about that TSM rotation is they overtook Xset, their biggest worry, their biggest threat on their rotation. I thought Xset were going to beat them to the pulp and they were going to be there first, but you can see now this building is going to be very habited. It's going to be very popular from a lot of these squads.
TSM have to be very aware of not only who's around them, but losing their roof as well. Playing from this position is very tough to do if you lose your roof, because when you do have to rotate out a little bit later, towards where that zone is likely to pull, you have to be so aware of what that team is going to do above you. Who is that team above you? Of course, it's Exit.
Of course it is. It had to be, right? They may have arrived a little bit later, but they said this building also looks a bit juicy. It looks like a good area to hold. We get a good vantage point where we can shoot down below. And also it's a good spot to then move, depending on where this circle is going to be shifted. It's about positioning yourself for all these different factors.
Ascend making a much slower rotation to this zone, though. They are outside of zone for now, making their way over from the western side of Storm Point. NRG currently hold up inside of the wall as well, maybe just doing a little bit of crafting, maybe just making sure that when they do approach things towards the end of this game, they're going to be looted and booted and suited and able to take these fights. Well, Moist down on this low ground, they only need the 1 point now.
Only need the 1 point, and they are in a spot of bother. They have been targeted by 2 squads. They are cramming themselves into this little nook and cranny, hoping they can stay alive and maybe go undetected for a short while before they then make their rotation. It's always tough, I feel, when you only need 1 point, and now they're going to try and make their move, try and escape, but Exit, they're being relentless.
Nocturnal just harassing them with his charge rifle, lots of damage being done. And of course, Exit, the plan here with the long range is just to fend off any teams who try and take the other side of this roof as well. They don't want any LOSs onto them. And having that charge rifle as a secondary weapon here for Nocturnal is going to be vital for them to do so.
Just trying to build up those Evo shields even more. Let those in the vicinity know you are the big boys in the area. You're going to be the ones dealing the damage, and you're the ones you're going to have to avoid when you make your rotation. Crazy that we have 2 of our match point teams in this building, as well as Dark Zero. Remember, they were somewhat favorites coming into this event, being the back-to-back LAN winners, but they still have quite a bit to do when it comes to getting to match point. They are 9 points off. Very much achievable, though, if we don't see any of the guys on match point win.
TSM still trying to just command space, still trying to make their presence known. And Reps has got a lot of work to do here on the scene. The heartbeat sensor is not just good for seeing where one team is, but when you've got multiple stacked up on you, it means you can plan your next move. There's a team above, you know you can't jump on roof. However, if you see a little bit of damage coming in, you hear a few nades going off, maybe by kind of focusing where the positions are, you might have a climb up where they're not looking at you and can do some damage.
Well, TSM, they can hear a lot of commotion around them, and I'm curious to hear what they have to say. So we'll jump into a listening with TSM and see what's going down.
Hey, they're all far right, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, team right below us, team cannon spot, and that's still the team right above us. Keep looking at my left.
I don't see anybody.
He's sitting behind. Come back. It's a far east zone. You see this?
Yeah, I do. Not.
That's not good for us. We need to start bullying Evan. We need to start bullying. Keep bullying the team underneath.
Who do you want me to scan for you?
Just on the roof.
I can scan a guy right below you.
40 on here.
He's cracked. He's cracked.
Leave a charge. I'm going back.
He's literally one.
He got down. He got down.
Yeah.
Is the team still on the roof?
Just watching inside. Yes, they're inside the roof. They're on the roof. They're on the roof.
I wait till my ult.
That roof team can easily drop here and kill one of us.
I know. That's why I'm standing here.
I finished one.
60 on
Height.
They scanned me. Height scanned me.
I'm peeking again.
He dropped in the door. He dropped in the door.
He went back. He went back. Back up.
Yeah.
I'm checking
yeah,
underneath.
keep coming that.
I don't have it. I don't see them underneath. I'm waiting.
You been digi?
I'm 4 or 5. Yes, I do.
On scan under.
Can we peek now? I'm peeking now. Come.
1 second behind you.
84 cracked. Down.
Nice.
He's fighting knock. Careful at height. He's one shot. He's literally one shot. He got out. Get back
Just
inside.
the one guy left. I'm 5-3 now.
Where did he go?
4 or
I don't see
5.
him.
He went down the hill.
He went like south.
As we jump out of the listening with TSM, I just want to once again highlight what a great job Reps is doing there. Just relaying information. He's the human UAV here for TSM.
Well, E6 were able to take down another squad, but now they're being pushed. It's Space Station on the other side. They may have lost one, but they should be able to convert here, and they will. E6 eliminated. And that means that E6 did not get enough points to be on match point. Remember, they were close, but they are still now 6 away, whereas Space Station, look, it's a 25-point game they need here, which is still achievable, but at least they can start planning as they're into the top 15.
Space Station should be able to reset here. The res is going to come in. All of this action happening just outside of Thunderwatch, and you've got to wonder how many teams are stacking up right now. It's an opportunity to kind of talk through that, Dan. The only teams who are outside of this zone right now are NRG, interestingly, playing from the north side of the zone, and on the southern side it's Luminosity Gaming. While we see Team Singularity taking a fight though, it looks like they're trying to swing onto SSG and cause the damage, but at the moment it's looking a little bit shaky, it's looking a little bit ropey, and it looks like SSG might have a way back into this.
Oh, SSG doing so well in this fight. 2 still up, very healthy as well. Just need to make sure they're watching the angles so the other can shield Cell up. It's a 2 versus 1. You just need to play this correctly and hope no one else is in the area to try and third party.
1-1-2-3 might be thinking about having a look at this. They're moving down from the northern side. And if this isn't finished quickly and they can't hit that res and get it off quickly enough, then this is what is going to happen. So they've got to be very, very quick about this in the kill feed as well. Yuki just got a knock onto NRG's Nathan. Now that has huge implications, because if they cannot get him up, then that would be the point for Alliance to move them onto match point.
It was via the charge rifle, so maybe they have a chance, NRG, to get them back up. Also, confirmation, both Moist Esports and Alliance have hit match point. They've gone past 50, and that means they will have the chance to win if we get to a next game.
Well, NRG managed to get Nathan back up as well. So important for them. And this rotate, it's very, very tough for NRG. But I like the idea behind it. They want to approach the zone late. They want all of the carnage to unfold in front of them. And then from the northern side, they want to try and take a little bit of space away from one of the teams who might fall in those fights. Ascendo, one of our teams, also on match point, having to restabilize here. And look at this, Fnatic trying to rain down some thunder, but the importance of that interception pylon cannot be understated. That means grenades, any utility that's thrown their way is going to be eaten up. But look at the line of sight that's still available. Ascend in the mud here.
Ascend just desperately trying to get back up, punching Kashira and Lufka into a position where maybe the revive can happen. They're actually the most eastern team we have out of our match point squads, because we heard TSM's listening. This is going east. We're going to have to move. It's the same for Xset, but Ascend, they've lost their main man. They've lost Kashira, so post-kill, Lufka are going to have to go as a 2 unless they can deliver that banner to the beacon.
Going to be very, very tough to do with how this lobby is playing out at the moment. Dreamfire thinking about going fishing. Can't quite hook them though, unfortunately. A little bit of damage being done by that Sentinel. Well, not enough to really capitalize on, and certainly not enough to drop from this high ground position they find themselves in. Here is the massive play though. This could be a huge influence on this lobby. If NRG can find somewhere to play, if they can land and reset here, then NRG are involved in this endgame. But look at the shots that are coming in. But NRG are threading the needle here. They want to try and play underneath.
And look where they're going. TSM are here, Xset are here. 3 of our match point teams all in this same building right now.
And you can see how TSM earlier on were prioritizing trying to take the team down that was underneath. They know this is a dangerous position for any squad to be in. Xset will know that as well. We have 3 of our match point teams stood on top of each other right now.
Ascend are not far away, that has to be said, and you can see TSM, they're peaking this. They are threatened by this new arrival into their household. They say we need to be forcing them away, but NRG also getting griefed by Ascend.
NRG trying to reset desperately, but playing underneath here, even though you've got some cover, it's not great geometry to work behind. You've got the pillars, you've got some rock formations, and of course you've got the wall and the roof above you to shield you, but teams rotating in late, like LG, moving uphill, like the guard, they can damage you. There's so many angles you have to be aware of.
I cannot state enough just how impressive a victory would be from any of these match point teams from this position that they find themselves in. It is a very difficult rotation if this pulls east. We've got Alliance over there, you've got Fun over there, you've got LG already over there. So you have to work so hard, as now TSM are going to have to take a potential fight in the doorway, but it looks like the other team backs off. Meanwhile, NRG are down to 2.
NRG down to 2, and it's Fnatic who are having an influence now. Fnatic are jumping on them. Gilderson's down as well. It's all up to Nathan. He's got a Peacekeeper, but NRG are out!
4 becomes 3. As maybe another match on the horizon, but still an opportunity for one of these guys, one of these teams to be able to bust out. TSM are still holding a solid position, waiting for that next zone, waiting for that information.
TSM going to peek at the low ground once more, trying to just harass that team underneath. expend those resources, get those shield cells popped to make sure when a fight breaks out, they're not going to be able to reset comfortably. TSM are playing this to a T at the moment.
Ascend have got Kashira
They got
back on his
Kashira
feet.
back!
We talk about important moments, we talk about IGLs. Kashira is now back in the fray. Ascend very much still with an opportune moment to win this game. I would argue that they are the furthest east out of these squads, but now Lufko will fall.
Phoenix King going to be popped. Ascend. The amount of teams stacked up is a problem here. Kashira's going to have to slide out of the way of these grenades. Just about manages to do so. Now it all falls up to post-kill. We've already seen Ascend somehow or other managed to get back into a position where they can play this game out to the end, but it's not looking good at the moment for them.
Ascend are usually so good at finding these kind of nooks and crannies where they set up with Watson fences as the circle again does shift east. It is going to shift away from TSM, away from Exet, and Ascend, as long as they can still stay healthy as a 2, it's still very possible because TSM, Exet, and every other team that was in that building we saw earlier are going to have to leave at essentially the same time.
Onic in a great position though. They will be in the one part of the building that stays within that zone. There's going to be so many important fights that break out in around 60 seconds time or so. Everyone, like you say, has to leave that building, has to leave the natural cover and engage to see if they can get some space to play from.
Speaking of Onic, they have also crossed the match point threshold. We now have 7 teams on match point if we get to next game. Exet though, they are under fire. They are in a lot of trouble here.
Knockdown shield being used here. Sykes has got that one up to try and keep Nocturnal and Fon alive. Fon's trying to hold the line at the moment while Nocturnal is going to be in position to pop that Barry. Exit come back out and say, good morning, we want to take you down. Nocturnal with the spray does a huge amount of damage.
So much damage back into the smoke. Will be able to get a sell off. He's done enough damage to push the other team back. And now they're going to try and get the res here. Exit, they're still alive, but no!
The gravitational lift, you can see it from Horizon. TSM have been waiting to pounce, and now they want to try and clean up this KP, take the roof, and TSM do exactly that.
TSM had their ears to the wall. More importantly, they had reps on the heartbeat sensor. They were waiting for that moment to be able to full send it to take the top of this building. But in 3 seconds, everyone's got to go. Everyone's got to go east. And remember, Ascend are still there in that zone. As a LG, as a Alliance, there are a lot of teams that can ruin the day here for TSM.
The important thing here for TSM is they cleared this side. You can see Fnatic down on the low ground. Ascend somehow, once again, like a phoenix from the ashes, have 3 players back on their feet and a wonderful position now with this zone.
So many times in regular season, we've seen Ascend win games like this, where they get the fences up, where they hold position, where they hold as much area. But now, TSM, they're making their move.
This is a ballsy play from TSM. They want to try and take the height. They want to try and force Onic away. They want to claim the building as their own. They're going to take so much damage, though. But here comes Hal. Hal takes down Gambari Otasan. Fun 1, 2, 3 eliminated as well, and all of TSM are still healthy here.
TSM take the height, they take the east side, and they are good for now, and they can ruin everyone else's day from this high ground. Moist Esports eliminated, and suddenly it's 10 squads, but TSM currently on top, but that zone is still pulling away from them.
TSM need to not just think about kills, but need to think about surviving, and Ascend now, they're surviving as well. Exit have been eliminated.
It was Ascend who did the job as well. It was one of our match point teams onto another. That means we're left with TSM. We're left with an Ascend, but we've still got 6 other squads who could win this game.
TSM just trying to influence all of these fights, and once again in that kill feed, you have Ascend players going down. Now, the Valkyrie ultimate, the Skyward Dive, has been a flip of the coin sometimes for TSM. On match point, on the biggest stage of them all, will they find somewhere to play? The answer is yes.
They find a spot, and now they're griefing. They want to take the prime position here. They know Northeast is where you've got to go here. Smokes are down, but they've got the Digi-threats.
Digi-threats, perfect to see through those smokes. Like you say, Reps picks up one, Verholz picks up another, and TSM are looking hungry for it right now. LG, you are gone.
TSM want to finish this one as well. They can get all the shield swaps they want. They can get all of the ammo in the world, and arguably in one of the best positions now, but Ascend are still alive on that northwest side as we still have 7 squads remain.
The only team in the zone outside of Alliance who are down numbers is TSM. TSM are set up for success, and you made such a great point. Taking that fight, they're going to have armor swaps available. They're going to be able to stay healthy for longer. this game could well be TSM's.
It very well could be an Ascend versus TSM finish, depending on how Ascend rotate, but Fnatic, they take to the sky. They could be big party poopers onto TSM here. They could very much drop, try and take this northeast side. TSM are going to have to hold their ground.
Alliance eliminated in the meantime. Fnatic land, but only 2 of them have their feet touch the floor. TSM under duress, House taking damage. The Black Hole's gonna go down. He's desperate to get down to his long-time duo in reps and just about manages to do so.
TSM holding on, they're into the top 5. Guard eliminated. Remember, Ascend are still alive. SSG and Dreamfire are fighting, and Dreamfire have gone down. Fnatic are weak. This could be Ascend versus TSM.
What a moment this is. Reps goes in, should be able to get the shield swap as well. 3 squads remaining. 1 of them is Ascend, 1 Fnatic and 1 TSM. Fnatic eliminated. It is a shootout to become the champions here in London between TSM and Ascend. Charge rifle shots hit. Who has the utility available? Reps, you saw the Seer. He has the exhibit available as well. He can get that down to get the wall hacks out. That's going to give TSM an advantage, but the last thing you want to do here, Dan, is be the first to be knocked.
Have they been tracking the kill feed? Do they know they are going up against another team on match point? Whoever wins here wins this tournament. Post-kill, trying to take an angle, trying to get an area where he can put down suppressing fire to allow Kashira and the rest to get out.
Ascend have got to make the play here. Do they have the EMP available? Is that what they're going to use to try and push from? It does not get more intense than this. Match point leaves us with 2 teams as Kashira makes the play. Kashira for Europe gets the shots in, but no shield break as now the fight goes down.
So important that you get the damage here, and it's done!
TSM up in the skies. House goes down from the heavens. London belongs to TSM!
The stats said it all. Storm Point was TSM's in the regular season. They had an 80% win rate from top 3s in regular season, and they've converted here today. And what a moment it is for that squad. Raven, the new addition, he brought new life into TSM. And they will be champions here in London.
TSM rise from the ashes. Questions asked. Were they done? Were they dusted? The answer is no. Champions once again in one of the most intense finishes we've seen in the Apex Legends Global Series. But TSM once again are on top of the pile.
And it all comes from that skyward dive, that big risky play to take the northeast of that circle and force the fight to take the lobby by the scruff of the neck and say, we want to own this game. We want to hit it here. We want to win it now. And you can see what it means to them. Just pure relief, ecstasy, joy on the faces of all 3 members and the coach of Raven.
Absolutely incredible game as well from TSM. Let's just take ourselves back for a second. It wasn't just that moment. It wasn't just the skyward dive. The way that they managed that game, took the fights when they needed to, Dan, put them in position to win the tournament here in London.
And then we saw Verhulst's mum as well. We saw the interview earlier, able to watch her son on stage. And what a moment it is to see your son achieve such an incredible thing. One of the best tournaments I've seen in terms of competitiveness. It took so long to get these teams on match point. And when we finally arrived, we just couldn't find a winner. But of course, it was going to be TSM.
First place in the Pro League. First place here in London. And win is spelt once again at TSM. What an unbelievable performance. And once again, what a comeback it's been this season for TSM. I mentioned previously doubters, but I think the one thing that's kept them all together is that belief, right? They knew they had the tools. Raven coming in, just giving that extra push, maybe outside of the comfort zone at times. to rekindle that form that we know they've always had.
TSM have been through an incredible amount of changes, whether it be through roster, whether it be through strategy, through composition, but slowly and surely they built their way back up to the full amount of confidence. As again, we can see Verhulst's mum right on the screen there. And I mean, you can come across to London and you can see your boy win it across the pond, and I don't think that gets much better than that.
This is what they call a core memory, I believe, for everyone who's in the arena and a TSM fan, excuse me, but especially for the family members. But I just want to, give a shout out to TSM, but the fans here in London, you have been absolutely incredible during this entire time. It's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to cast these games down, and when it's all said and done, TSM back on top.
And remember, we may have found our winners, but we still have to find out who comes second, who comes third, where do we divvy out all this prize money? $1 million was going out to all of these players, and of course, NRG were up there, Ascend were up there, and even though it's going to be heartbreak for some of these players because they came so close, we have plenty more LANs coming this year, don't we?
Oh boy, we do indeed. We're going to be back in London a couple of times, but it's all about that, Dan. That's the hard work. That's a sacrifice, the hours of practice, going over VODs, talking about how you want to approach this game. What do we need to do better than other teams to lift the trophy? And you just saw it on there. That's what it's for. That trophy, to be able to lift it above your heads, it means everything to these players.
And leading up to this event, the amount of times I heard, well, TSM have to win this to prove they're the best in the world, to prove they're worthy of all the kind of praise that they get online and throughout, the talent recognition as well. And they have done just that. They've proved the doubters wrong, but at the same time, I think for themselves as players to be back on top, that is going to do wonders for them the rest of the season. But they now set the benchmark. This is what and how good you've got to be if you want to win a tournament. People will be doing VOD reviews for weeks to try and see what TSM did differently. How did they achieve this? What were they trying to do in their composition? What were their rotations like? This just starts a whole new wave of development when it comes to the meta in Apex Legends.
And it's certainly going to light a fire under some of the bellies of the teams who are chasing as well. An amazing tournament. Again, from Dan and myself, it's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to call some of these games. But when it's all said and done, TSM are the champions. We're going to send it down to Rain Day because I think we've got a trophy to give out.
We asked the question, are championships given or are they taken? One team has answered that question unequivocally. Your most winningest team in the history of the ALGS. London, make some noise for your champions of the Split 1 playoffs, TSM. Fellas, it's been a long time coming. Hal, I can see the smile on your face. What does this moment mean to you after all that you have done, after all you have heard online, all the time you guys have put in, all the adjustments you've made to finally hoist that trophy again? What does it mean to you?
I still got it. We still got it. We never left. And, it means a lot. We appreciate all you guys' support. We always come here to play our best, just for you guys. So we appreciate all of you that coming out. Thank you guys. Even the haters, whoever roots for NRG, I still love you guys. So yeah, I appreciate it.
It is your moment, certainly, but I'm going to talk to someone who I think many consider maybe the rock, maybe the glue to this team. You've been beside Hal's side this entire time. You've been through the ups, you've been through the downs, Jordan. How does it feel to hoist that again and be a champion?
It just feels amazing. I mean, it's been 3 years since we did it, and it's about time, honestly. We put in so much work with Raven. He helped us out so much. We swapped up so many different things. We still kept the core, and it still worked out, so.
Thank you so much, man. Many people know this story. I want to reiterate it here and switch over, talk to Big E. I knew Evans did great things. Verhulst, you've had to grow so much and mature in your role from joining this team from ESA, now meshing with Hal and Reps, seeing the potential, but not getting there immediately. You took the challenge on, and you had the support not only of your family in most of the events I've seen you at, but your mother specifically today in the interview, the touching interview she did. Speak to me what it means about everyone's support during this time, and it finally got you here.
I mean, honestly, there aren't enough words to say how much I love all the support that you guys give us. You guys are the best fan base we could possibly ask for. You guys are all the best, and I appreciate my family for coming out, as always. And we appreciate you guys.
This man right here, I don't know whether to call you a psychologist, a master general, or maybe just the right guy at the right time. Raven, the coach of TSM, make some noise for what this man has done. Raven, this is your moment. You have earned it. I know how much you've given up. What's going on for you right now?
I mean, definitely a super emotional win for me. I've been grinding for just 3 years straight, and I had a lot of people doubt me, but I stuck to it, and I appreciate all the people who are supporting me and who had my back, and also shout out to my boys for all the hard work and willing to give me a chance and listening to me, so thank you.
Thank you, Raven, for what you've given to this community, also what you've given to these guys right here. It takes a team to get it all done. You guys have proven that as well. What a journey these boys have had. I want to give you one last moment on the stage before we throw it back. Ladies and gentlemen, London, your champions, TSM. Back to you, Tiff.
Thank you so much, Rain Day. Congratulations, TSM Raven. You mentioned it. Thank you so much for trusting me, even through the fuse picks, right? We had a little bit of chaotic moments, and throughout the entire journey, those boys stuck true to themselves, elevated each individual player to their best strengths, and look what happens when it pays off. Since Poland, it has been, since they have hoisted a trophy for the first time, including Verhulst, man, that's gotta feel so good. But Genome, I mean, talk to me through some of these moments. There were a lot of intense action. You have Ascend, who's on match point, taking on TSM on match point. It was like the biggest war I had ever seen, and for the longest time, I thought Ascend had Godspot.
Ascend did have Godspot. They were in there for a while. They had to get reset so many times. I think they actually possibly went into the zone at one point to get a respawn and then came back. Eventually, though, it was TSM that Valkolted in at the right time. At that particular circle, extremely open. And I was saying it to Monsoon in the back room. It was like, you have to Valcolt late into this circle, and TSM picked exactly the right moment and exactly the right spot in which to do that, and that's what set up that whole endgame.
And timing was to perfection, and you mentioned it best, right? But it wasn't just that clutch Valcolt. They had the work cut out for them. Fnatic, Luminosity, so many good teams made that road to the endgame so tough, Glitter.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, on the bottom half of the zone, you've got SSG potentially poking at Ascend. Ascend trying to get in on that. There was a solo left from Dreamfire. And after all of that cleared out, you think that Ascend has the perfect opportunity to capitalize on what was happening with TSM above them and continue to push. Now, we talked about this leading into it. It almost felt like there was just the tiniest bit too much distance between the 2-1 split that Ascend had pushed in with, and that could ultimately have been the reason for their downfall.
It's really tough, but this is where things started to get dicey. TSM takes the top of Thunderwatch, and typically, when you look at this position, it wouldn't be the winning position, Genome. We talk about it, Ascend's on the other side. They have so much success here.
It's not the winning position, but it's the prelude to it. As you said, they had to clear it out. Otherwise, there is no way they were going to get a Valkolt off without getting contested. Once they had that in the bag, you saw there were a lot of teams. And I mean, look, there was at some point there was about 10 or 12 teams just in Thunderwood. So battling your way out of that is almost like a mini battle royale in itself to get to that final circle. And here we see it. This is where TSM managed to clean up.
And this is where we were talking about the potential issue. Right there. Look how much farther ahead Kashera is from the other two teammates down behind that rock. That little bit of space, what is it, 10 feet, makes the difference between the victory and the loss.
I mean, Hal, going up in that grab lift, getting high ground above Ascend, and you're completely right. That initial opening that Kashera pushes forward, unleashes an entire clip. You're like, okay, the opening damage goes to Ascend, but what happens next?
Yeah, unfortunately, Ascend, they're playing that defensive composition. It helps them get into that spot. But once you're on match point, you need to win. That's where you need the composition that's going to help you win that final 3v3. And as we saw in that clip, Hal goes up in the Horizon gravity lift and just deals with Ascend.
Just utter domination TSM was. Let's go ahead and take a look at our series results. TSM, 79 points, but that doesn't matter, right? Because you needed the win. But NRG, 86 points in second place. Ascend third. Exet, Alliance, Moist. So much representation from all the different regions there, Genome. It has been an absolute chaos mess. It is the playoffs, baby. Like, what more can you say?
Incredible. And, you know, look, the money that they're grabbing from that, you've got to remember, we haven't talked about too much, but this is also going to dictate some extra slots or maybe less slots for the different regions around the world going into the next playoffs. How your region did as a whole here will be assessed, and we will see some changes happen. NA have done very well. They will definitely be getting some extra slots.
Changes may happen, but one thing that has reigned consistent was the fact throughout the duration of Pro League, we've had a Monster Energy MVP nomination, and I'm going to send it over to Rain Day because it is time to announce our Monster Energy MVP of the ALGS Split 1 playoffs.
Thank you, Tiff. I'm standing here with none other than the CEO of Apex Legends as the champs reign throughout the arena of the Copper Box. Hal, Philip, here is your Monster Energy MVP. Soaking it up, my friend. Obviously, the reaction was incredible. How does it feel, just personally, you and your personal journey to get here? Tell us a little bit about what's going on in your mind.
Honestly, I think ever since like the meta changed to, you know, Seer and Horizon, I was mechanically like lacking, in my opinion. So I decided to switch to controller. And it's the first LAN I played on controller, and I got MVP, won the LAN. So I feel like I took a big risk playing controller and swapping to something that I haven't played in for a while, and it all paid off. So,
Hal, you know, I'm going to be honest. You have gone through a journey of putting yourself a peg below her, right? Kind of saying, I'm going to go off MNK and I'm going to do it on controller. And you had to learn, and you had to kind of get laughed at a little and say, is he really going to do this? Is this, you know, going to get him where he needs to be? But you did a bigger journey, in my opinion, personally, hiring Raven, knowing, hey, we need something in our team comms. I need to take something back. I need to mature in the way I'm communicating to my teammates. Talk about your growth, both in that situation and the controller, but also personally for you in this journey to win here.
yeah, I think like Raven was my idea for the most part. I wanted to look for a coach after Rally because I felt like I was kind of bombarded with too much as a player, and I needed help outside the game. So I decided to look around, and we eventually got Raven, and I've said it on stream before, I think this is the biggest pickup ever. Like, it's kind of like, you know, Mac and Jordan in the beginning, you know, those types of players. Like, Evan is, same with Evan. Evan, Raven, like, this team is a dynasty, just like in the beginning of the game. This is the start of another dynasty for sure.
I think the question, that's right. You can see right down there, Hal, some of your best moments of the tournament. As you react to this, a lot of ups and downs, but you came in here winning the split. You guys felt confident from the very beginning that you could get the job done, even though you had to make some adjustments. But my big question here, though, is looking at the support, not only that Evan's gotten, we've talked about, but your fans. They travel. They're here in Europe. It's not North America. This is Europe, and you still have the most fans in the building right now. Talk to me about what TSM has meant to you as an org for your career and obviously for the support in this journey.
TSM has supported us since the beginning, you know, like even with you know, swapping players and stuff like that, there's never been any issues, and you know, we've had the best fan base since the beginning of the game, you know, and we appreciate you guys so much. This is why we play our best for you guys, Nobody else. There's no one else that we're playing for except the fans.
Al, one more thing. I know we had a conversation earlier. You gave props to Sweet being a better IGL than you. You both took a step back and said, no, Zero is the best IGL because he's won back-to-back. You just won right here. Are you going to tell the fans, everyone watching at home, who's the best IGL? Who is it, Hal?
It's me. It's me.
I think that'll do it. Tiff, that's your Monster MVP. TSM, Imperial Hal.
I mean, you heard it here first. You cannot call yourself the best IGL in the world until you are hoisting that trophy. And not only did he hoist one, he got the MVP as well. Some really solid words coming out of that. But I most importantly heard the dynasty, the ability to step back, know what you're lacking on and need to work on. Bring in Raven as a coach. They completely changed up everything about their playstyle. Drop spots, macro rotations, Genome. I mean, it paid off.
He talked about being the best IGL in the game, but honestly, the thing that really gets me about Hal is I think he's just the most competitive person in Apex Legends, and I think that's what pushes him to the top time and time again, years after winning those previous lands. That's why he's still here and still at the top, because he just wants it so much.
Not only that, but he's obviously willing to work on any small, minor issue that there might be. He's not afraid to admit, need a little bit of help, bring Raven in. Huge boon for the squad. That's so important because someone thinks that they're untouchable, can never improve, and Hal's always looking to better himself in the team.
We talk about mental fortitude, the strength, the willingness to adapt, everything to be better, but there's one more opinion that I need. Rain Day, we gotta talk to you. Let's get back you on the desk. We gotta talk about this. I know you just got to break it down with all the members of TSM, a little MVP nod to Hal, the CEO himself. Let's get one more time for TSM, the CEO Hal himself. I need to hear the crowd go crazy.
It's electric. This crowd is amazing. You all are, I mean, I think the best fans in esports. I think we have the best personalities in esports. I think we have the best team in esports. I'm biased, obviously, if you couldn't tell, but I honestly think moments like this, seeing the journey that Hal and TSM have gone, it's hard to be on top for so long and not have people start coming at you. But then to seriously get put down, for people to say it's no longer your time, and to take that on as a champion and then go to work and do the work behind the scenes, do the work in front of everyone, and then to have a championship like this, a statement, to me, that is the most impressive thing in terms of an esports journey that I have almost ever seen.
Yeah, it's just been a really great time. We talked about the ALGS Split 1 playoffs this year being that road to coming full circle, right? The road to redemption. A lot of stories started back when Apex launched back in 2019. We just celebrated the 4-year birthday, but now we have to talk about what's to come. We have the future, right? Because things aren't over yet. We have a season reveal tomorrow, February 6th, so be on the lookout. You've all heard about the changes that are coming and maybe some rumored buffs. I know that I'm a Wraith main, and I want to see some cool changes. And once again, can we get a buff Pathfinder? That's what we really care about. His passive was the beacons, and everyone's got it.
I am excited for everything to come, for the future of this entire, not just the next season, but the entirety of this esport. This is only the halfway point for this entire competitive season. You know how much action we have in store? These teams are going to be working on their gameplay overall, and I think Split 2 is going to be even crazier.
I mean, it's amazing that we're 5 lands into Apex and almost 4 years now, but we've still only had 2 LAN champions ever, right? Yeah, will that change with the other 2 lands that we've got coming this year? I kind of hope so.